Boxing up.
Wow, that's loud.
Me too.
If you want me to grind your stump.
One last ride.
Oh, even the way the thing buckles in, just not good. Just
Horrible.
not good.
I have to shift it myself, dude. Like, I've had the car now for, I think, about 8 months. In that time, we have modified it. We've had a great time. We brought it to a couple shows, Wicked Big Meat Boxer Fest. Just lived with it. It's my daily driver. I pick my kids up in it, all that stuff. So
how bumpy the stock suspension is.
I know, that's actually like that's actually one of the big things. In this video, I'm just gonna talk like briefly about just my positive experience with the car, maybe some things that I'm not thrilled on, and then really the next steps. But at this point, the car is going away. Kind of like a long-term or a plan for this to happen, but yeah. We'll talk more why. Overall, you know, I'll briefly roll through my Subaru ownership history. I have only had Subarus for cars since 2010. That's when I bought a 2011 WRX. It's like the first year of the wide bodies, if you guys don't know. Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved the car. It was unlike anything I've driven before. The power, the sound, even with the factory exhaust, like back then I didn't know anything. Got an access port for it, did an intake, and was just like hooked, which I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that, like that first mod of your car and the way that it feels with it sounds, like how dramatic it is. Having an intake on one of those cars, it sounded like a blow-off valve. It was like so just different. I'd like been around the car scene before then. It's like what made me want to get that car. It was a different experience, like doing it myself and meeting people that were also passionate about their Subarus and other cars. So after that, I had a Bog Eye WRX that was modified. I had a 2013 STI that I traded the WRX in for. I had a 2006 Impreza NA as a daily, and then I sold both of those and got an 07 STI that had a like rotated kit, drop-in pistons, made like 400 horsepower-ish, tuned it on ethanol, Mach 5 tuned it in Virginia. Shout out to Dan down there. Yeah, I made like 485. It spooled up super quick. It was a GTX 35, or sorry, GTX 30, and I loved it. Loved the car. It sounded great. The motor blew up, which was not surprising for the power levels that we were making. I bent a rod, and at that point, I sent the car to IAG just to have them build the whole thing. So they built the bottom end, they tuned it, and just made sure the car was like stout, made sure that it wouldn't do that again. So I still have that car. We're working on that. It's a long-term project. But you guys, I'm hoping to see that up and running, out, shredding this spring. So yeah, after I had that car, I had purchased I had a truck for a little bit, doing some truck stuff. I did not like that, so I got into a 2017 STI that I bought off of Prime Motoring in New Jersey. Shout out Nav and Phil and Dimitri. But that car was great. It felt good. It was stage 2 when I got it, and I liked it. It felt like special. It felt like when I had the 2013 STI, like to me that was like, it felt special. The stitching, like the red, like the little STI, like light up logos. For me, like in my like mid 20s, it felt like an accomplishment. It was like very, very cool for me to have that for myself, but also like it definitely felt like, yeah, just an accomplishment. Like the car itself was built in a way where it felt special. And with that, the 17 STI was the same thing. It was like being back in a newer, cushier STI than my 07. Like it felt special. Like all the trim was there, just the small stuff, like the logos. After that car, I sold that like mid-pandemic because the resale prices I thought were crazy. They got crazier after that, so stupid me. But I sold it then, and then I bought an 06 Forester XT in Pennsylvania. I put a deposit online. I had a shop go through it and make sure everything was like good, but unfortunately when I actually went to pick the car up, there was a lot of stuff that was not what I had expected or what I was told from the shop, reputable shop. That car had like some stumbling issues in boost. It would like surge, it would like choke up. I was told it was an O2 sensor. I told the shop to verify that if they had an extra O2, just swap it out and see if it fixed it. They said it did. Cool. So after I purchased the car, I brought an O2 sensor with me, plugged that in, and had the same exact issues. That turned out to be a motor. One of the cylinders had a bad leak down in compression test. So we did an RA type RA block. Yeah, that was a lot more money than I wanted to put into that car. That car was supposed to be like my gap from the 2017 STI till this car came out, and that ended up costing me more than I ever expected it to, which is why I did my due diligence. I'm not a Subaru newbie. We should coin that. I've been around the block, like I've heard the horror stories. I've always had a good experience. I feel like I blew up my STI. It was my fault. Like I knew I was pushing that past the limit and I was kind of preparing for it. But with this car, I was kind of like just blindsided. That's a little bad taste in the mouth. I did like the car, it was fun. But that leads to this. So this car, I'll briefly talk about my experience buying it because it was much less exciting and easy as buying other Subarus in the past. I used the same dealership. Obviously, like we bought this to develop product on. We wanted to do obviously our lighting products, interior stuff, small stuff, but also like we're hoping to dabble more in the performance side. And I don't know if you guys have seen, we have like wheels listed on the site. We purchased wheels that we have in stock, ready to ship. There's no wait time, as well as some performance parts. So that was really the purpose of this car, was to try to meet the need of the scene, the community that we've always tried to support and that's always supported us as well. Just buying the car, like I felt like I was ahead of the salesman as far as like the release dates, when we could order, the options that would be available, the color names, which, you know, for the most part, I'm not like I'm not snobby about like it's a Inferno red, it's red or whatever, but they weren't even sure like what the colors are going to be. And then most of that's like dealer related, and I get it. You know, I tried to put money down. I wanted to be like the first order in at the dealership. I contacted the salesman that I was working with like 3 times once I knew orders were open, and it took them a while to get back. So it was just one of those things where I was seeing other people get the car. We wanted to be the first with it to develop products. Yeah, it was just kind of to be honest. It was like, I feel like I was like, you know, really trying to throw money at to buy this car. But yeah, got the car, love the color, love the color. Shout out to my wife for pushing me to get the red. I wanted to get white, but the red is definitely like where it's at. I didn't hate it. We saw it at Wicked Big Meat before the car released. I liked it. Like, I don't mind the fender plastic. I don't mind the big diaper bumper. I thought it looked good. So yeah, I was excited for it. I was excited to see the progression. So we got the car a little bit later than some other folks. Yeah, just started driving it, working on it. You know, we got coils on it. If you guys haven't seen the video, we do like a full like install of coils and a reaction to like how the car handles. Then as far as the product development side, it wasn't as aggressive as I was hoping it would be. So for instance, for the headlights, like we were hoping to use the limited trim which come with the sea light, because that was a big letdown, as well as the base and premium models don't have sea lights. And even the running light that's in there next to the projector is like amber. It's just like an incandescent amber bulb. I thought it left like a lot to be, you know, a lot open for us to kind of come in and support. Unfortunately, there's not even like a cover like with the VA, the 15 to 21 Subaru WRX. It's just like black plastic. So there's just like a little bit less that we could do. On top of that, we were hoping to use a limited trim which has the sea light, and those are incompatible. They use a Limbus system in order to power up and do the different functions, which this car does not have a hookup for. So we'd have to get like we talked to a few companies about making like a module that would allow it to run, and it'd be a few $100s retail to sell those. And then on top of that, the headlights are like almost $1,000 a piece. So I just didn't see a lot of people wanting to do $2,200 headlights just for like factory sea lights. I'm sure that somebody will come along and do like a third-party light, a Subi Speed style, or like the other, you know, third-party lights for these cars. But I also wonder if they'll even be able to offer something for those limited trims because of the Limbus system needing to be decoded in those. We wanted to get other stuff made, and this is like a personal thing, I might as well just share this. I thought that we would be like too late. So if we wanted to make like a certain part for this car, I was concerned that like a larger company that has more resources, we seem big, we're a small company, I can guarantee that. I thought that like a larger company with more resources would be able to come in and create a lot of these parts faster, cheaper than we could, and be able to sell them for cheaper. So I didn't really push myself to make a lot of stuff. Like it was more something where I didn't want to take the risk. I had like a lot of good ideas. Obviously I feel like I have good ideas. Everyone thinks I have good ideas. Based on like my enthusiasm and passion for the Subaru community and the cars themselves, I thought I had some good ideas. I was just scared that somebody else would do it. But here we are like nearly a year later, and there's a lot of parts, there's a lot that's not out for these cars yet. I was pretty surprised, and it probably is because it is a new engine. You know, with the 15 to 17, it was the same EJ257 that they used in the past. All the parts pretty much transferred directly over, suspension, engine. For these, I understand it's different, so it takes longer, but like I said, like we're a year out. Yeah, I don't feel like there's a ton for it. I know the Access Port came out a few months ago in November. It's January now, but still, you know, we're seeing good numbers, like things look good. Oh shit. But anyways, I didn't really push myself to like to try to be like the innovator a lot of these parts, just because I didn't think I could do it like in a cost-effective way. I kind of wish I would have, you know. It's like if I were to do it now, like maybe we could be first with it, but would we be like would we be able to be like competitive with pricing? I just don't know. So let's talk about the car itself now. That's my long story. Sorry, that was so long. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I've had cars that are like heavily modified. I've had factory cars, Subaru cars. This is just my experience from like all of that and the process through building one. I like the car. It feels good. It feels better than the 2017. It's a brand new car. The things I really like about it are honestly, just the feel of everything feels better. When you close the doors, it sounds like solid. The tablet in the middle, it just looks awesome. It feels good. It feels like a nice new car. Everyone's like, oh, how is it? I'm like, it's a new car. The engine feels awesome. Low down, it feels incredible. Yeah, low on the RPMs, it just absolutely like scoops under your ass cheeks and pushes you along. The top end it falls off and on its own face. I know with most Subarus, like it's, you know, bottom end, a lot of torque, but up top, like once we hit like 4,000, 3,500 RPM, it just feels like I'm sitting in the car. I see the numbers go up, but you don't feel anything. It's a factory car, I get it. There's not an exhaust on it. I don't have any performance upgrades. Even compared to like the previous cars that I had, I just felt like I expected a little bit more performance, especially up high. Down low feels great. It pushes you. As far as other elements of the engine go, I don't mind the factory sound. I don't mind the equal length. I had equal length headers on my 17, so I'm used to that. Yeah, even then, like I could buy an exhaust if I wanted it louder, but I feel as though the factory exhaust is just like cold start is awesome. It's like, man, this thing sounds mean. This sounds good. It calms down after that, and then it's like, oh, okay, like where's the car? So that's just like more of a sound thing. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about the performance of the engine. Is just like the feel of it I get. I can't talk numbers. I've left the car stock performance wise. One, because there wasn't much out there as far as tuning support. And then by the time tuning support came out, kind of over it a little bit. Yeah, shifter feel, everyone complains about it. It feels okay. Like a short throw shifter would make a big difference. It'd feel great, it'd feel better. It doesn't feel great. It just feels plastic. It feels like a little chintzy. But I know I can do stuff to upgrade that as well. I just wish I didn't have to. Suspension wise, I hate this suspension in the factory car. I come from a world where like you buy a car, even like a performance like the Subaru, and the suspension's squishy and like it body rolls all over the place and dives all over the place, and it's comfortable. Living in the Northeast, we get snow, we get a lot of salts in New York here, so it's a regular thing for many people that year-long drive their car or daily drive a car like this to put their factory suspension back on in the winter. I talk about this in the coilover video, but the coilovers, I've never had a coilover. I like aggressive sports cars. Like I like it to feel like racy. Like I don't mind bumps. I don't mind like, you know, going over a pothole and feeling it. You could obviously adjust dampening on most coilovers, at least quality ones. So that's something that I play with often. But I've never had a coilover that when I get it, it's actually, and I adjust it like pretty aggressively and set the ride height pretty aggressively. I've never had one that feels better comfort-wise than the factory suspension. And I got the Silver's Neo Max coilovers, so like kind of like mid-level, and those felt, compared to these, awesome. I'm not a suspension expert. I have had, like I said, various suspension setups. It feels to me like the valving is the issue. Like the struts are just like really aggressive. So like when you're driving the car, like it has like enough movement, it has enough motion through the springs to like be compliant, but when you hit like bumps, when you hit a twig, pebble in the road, it is jarring. Like I'm like, I know 35, but like holy shit, like if you hit something, it's bumpy. I've spilled drinks over that. So that's like one thing that's like, you know, if you're dailying the car like I do and you want to like drive it in the winter time, in the winter it's like that, like okay, like I'll have like a little squishier suspension setup, but like in the summer it'll be fun again. And this is like, okay, like we're doing it again. We're going off-road here. That's what I'd say about that. Other things, I like the vents. They look cool. The interior looks great. I've had issues with the screen. It'll just black out randomly if I have my phone connected. I could connect it with a cable. I can connect it via Bluetooth. Either one, it'll just go black. And I can't listen to anything. I can't see anything. I can't control the climate settings. I have to turn the car completely off and then turn it back on again and it works. I had the weird starting issue that some people have had. I guess if you start the car, everything, all of them are push start now. You obviously put your foot on the clutch, push the button. You have to wait until the car is fully started up, which is, I get it, like understandable. You have to like really keep it on there, even like through the whole ignition cycle, which sounds like duh, but like when you're actually doing it, it's very common that you like let off it just before, like you hear it starting up and you let off. When you do that, I guess there's like a known issue or something, at least from the dealership that I work with, where the car, like it went in limp mode. It said like go to Subaru immediately. Like the car just like, it wouldn't go over 3,000 RPM or 2,000 or something like that. I like just got to work with it. Yeah, that was weird. I talked to them about it. I've had a few times where like I'll start the car and it'll just run really rough and then turn off and then start it again and it's fine. I guess it has to do with that issue. I don't know what the issue is. I've been very aware and made sure not to take my foot off the clutch too soon. That was just kind of weird. Like a little nitpicky. When I close my door, I grab it here to close it. It feels like there's nothing holding this piece in. So like there's a few times before where I feel like I'm gonna rip this off, just like when I go to grab my door and pull it back. It feels like all of it is just back here. So that was just like, it's a weird feeling every time I get in the car and I grab the door and it feels like I'm gonna tear this piece of leather off. The reason this is the last experience with this car, I've had Subarus for a long time. I love them, I love the community. I'm gonna go back to that feeling of when I had the 2013 STI. And like the achievement, the accomplishment, the special feeling. I could buy the limited model or the GT trim of the new 2022, and I bet I would have a little bit more of that. I bet you that a lot of what I'm missing, I could probably get with that for thousands of dollars more. And obviously the STI was more expensive than WRX back then, and it would be now as well. Maybe just this model isn't for me, and I feel like if they made the STI, the experience would pay for itself. And if it had the STI logos and some more performance, you know, if the engine bay looked like a little more special. I loved what they did with the S209, the Type RA, making them feel special. And obviously those are special editions, but I just feel like with this car, it feels, I test drove a Subaru Impreza a few years prior, and it feels like a fast one of those. It just doesn't feel like the way that I'm accustomed to having a Subaru feel. And that's maybe why I had like a little bit of a wandering eye and trying to maybe do a different brand. If I'm not getting that from this car, and the only option now, since there's no STI, is like a limited or a GT, and the GT only comes in automatic, I just don't think I'm gonna get the experience that I'm looking for with Subaru right now or any longer. The new STI comes out and it feels special and it's what I'm looking for, and you know, performance, looks, enjoyment, I'd consider it. But this to me is like, it just feels like way, I don't know, it's just like compliant of them to put out another WRX, but maybe not one that's really special. Yeah, that's really it. We are going to be talking about next steps. We are waiting for what's going to be replacing this. What's going to be replacing this, I put a deposit down December of 2021, so it's been over a year. The process with this has been absolutely night and day compared to my experience with working with the local Subaru dealership. They've been super good on getting back to me. Any updates, any rumors, like just like keeping on top of like what people are hearing. I had the salesman like text me like a link to like a launch event for it that I already knew about, but it was like the fact that he's following up on something that like we don't even know when it's coming. It was just really just different. And I think with this car, I think it's gonna feel special. I think it's gonna give me the feelings that I want and the performance that I want. I'm looking for a car, like I said, that feels special, that performs well. I could throw two kids in the back, unrestrained, and then, you know, they'll be good. Something that I can, like, as far as us as a company, we want to do stuff that's like fun for you guys too. Like the whole point of our existence, and like since the first day, is like we want to impress you guys. We want to inspire you. We want you guys to feel like the stuff that we're doing is stuff that you're looking for. And I don't feel like we've gotten that reaction with this car. And I think that was like maybe like an oversight, or like maybe like a pipe dream that I was hoping would happen. But a lot of these cars are just kind of sitting on the lot, so it sucks. This next car, I want it to be all that. I want it to be stuff that you guys are excited to see. And I feel like with this car, like it was, people don't like it because they think it's ugly. Like, let's be honest, like I don't mind it. Is it the best looking car? No. I personally think with some upgrades, like I think Subimods did a fantastic job with theirs for SEMA. But once again, like I'm not looking to do all that work just to have a car that I think like looks better than the factory one, or like much more. So this one I think is gonna check all the boxes. There's a ton of hype around it. Like I said, we reached out to a dealership locally a long time ago to be able to get this. And obviously it's something like we're buying it, it's gonna be fun for us, but a big part of this transition was to make sure that we were doing exciting stuff for you guys and doing fun stuff for us. All that's gonna be possible with this new project. So doing track days, doing like HPDE events at Watkins Glen, which is like an hour away from us, developing performance parts. We're already working with a company that makes fantastic performance parts. We already have parts in the mail for this new car. We don't even have it yet. And they're pre-release stuff. It's like stuff that we're gonna show you guys that no one has access to yet. Super excited about this next step. For me, for us, for you. I'm hoping that you guys will like this switch that we're doing and maybe inspire you guys to try to make the jump with us. We will continue to support Subaru. Jordan's got a Subaru behind the camera. I still have a Subaru. We love Subarus. I love them. I like this car a lot. It's just, for me, where I'm at in my life, it's just not the right thing. And I don't think it's the right thing for us and for you guys. We are breaking up. We are making a change. We are upgrading our lifestyle. I hope that you guys are excited about that with us. I cannot wait to show you guys what we have in store. It's very exciting, and let's f around.
Should we test that drink spilling theory?